Good afternoon. Nice to meet you again. Today we are going to see another new tense related to future perfect simple. Let's begin with the structure. So concerning the affirmative, we should have will plus have, then past participle. So will have, do not change. You cannot write has, will have, always, plus past participle. When we want to speak about the negative form, we are going just to insert not between will and have plus past participle. It doesn't change. All the time it is the same. And it becomes will not have plus past participle. Interrogative, will plus subject. You know why? Because it is interrogative. Plus have, as I have said, always unchangeable. Plus past participle. So we have three structural forms: affirmative, negative, interrogative. So have, never write has, always have. Okay? Here, concerning the past participle, you should memorize irregular verbs because they are very important and you cannot do without them. Now, let's see the definition. Here I have given two definitions, or just one definition, but in different ways. So let me read to you the definition. We use the future perfect simple tense. What time? To indicate the completion. I mean, the action is going to be completed. What time? At a particular time. It has an exact time. When? In future. Which means that here we have three key elements concerning this definition. Here are they. They are written in a very brief way. Number one, you need a future action. The action should be in future. And number two, it should have specific time. And number three, the action should be completed. It will be finished. It will be over. What time? In future, in a specific time. So that's why the first definition, I have just given the key elements, the most important elements that you should remember whenever you want to deal or to use the present, the future perfect simple. As you know, when we want to speak about any tense you care to name, you need some signals. This is what we call time indicators. Time indicators or signals. I have given you some examples in order to help you understand what time we should use this time tense. Number one, by the end of summer, by the end of winter, by the end of spring, and so on. Number two, this time next week. So which means when we say this time next week, we have three elements. We have future action next week. We have specific time, which is this time next week, like this time next week. And at the same time, it will be completed in this time next week. By 5 o'clock this afternoon. Before Monday. So you should not always focus on just by, but I want you to understand, and once you understand, you will be able to make a difference between all tenses, and finally you will focus in a very concrete way concerning this tense. By 5 o'clock this afternoon, before Monday, in 2 months' time from now, till a specific time in future, by 2032, by 2032, when I get married. So when I get married, even if time is implicit, but when I say when I get married, it means in the future. That moment of marriage, when you get married, at that moment it becomes, that time becomes specific time in future. So these are some examples that can help you and serve your needs vis-a-vis the use of this tense. Now let me focus on some examples that can help you understand future perfect simple tense. Our miracle population will have increased enormously by 2030. So first of all, will have increased. This is the structural form that we have spoken about. Will and have do not change. Plus past participle. Here it is irregular because it ends with ed. And future time related to 2030. It is in the future. Number 2. This student will have completed her physics program. What time? By the end of May. So the same here. The end of May is a specific time in future that will witness the completion of the action. Number 3. Brahim and Samira will have spent together 20 years when their parents return from USA. So we'll have plus past participle. This participle, it is irregular. Its infinitive form is to spend. Will have spent. And then you speak about time expression when their parents return from USA. Their parents in future will return in a specific time. That's why when you have when, after when, use just the present return. For example, you may come across some sentences in which there is future perfect, and at this moment, if you have when or before, for example, you can use just the simple present. Number 4. By 9 o'clock, Miss Andalusi will have finished her domestic activities. So which means that 9 is in the future, or will be in the future. We have not yet reached this time. will have, as I always say, never change, plus past participle, which means the action of doing her domestic activities will be over exactly at 9 o'clock in the future. The students will have left the classroom by the end of the hour. So will have left, this is future perfect simple. The time signal is by the end of the hour. Number 6, when he graduates. So here we begin with when. He will have been 20 years old, which means now he is studying. When his studies will be, when his studies are over, are finished, at that moment he graduates. So at that moment in the future, which is specific, the action will be completed, will be finished, will be over. That's why we use will have plus past participle of the verb to be. 7. By the beginning of March, she will have written a book of literature. Does not change will have. We cannot say will has. Always have. Will have. Plus past participle written of the verb to write, a book of literature, which means the beginning of March will witness the completion of this activity. What is this activity? The fact of writing a book of literature. Good luck. Thank you so much for watching.